Hello friends, welcome to class of transportation engineering. We will be now continuing with the same topic, that is the traffic engineering, and in that we will be studying the next topic, that is the traffic islands. Okay, the same chapter, traffic engineering, and we will be studying the traffic islands. So in the roads you must have seen something of this kind. Here I am showing, okay, this in the corner that you can see. So such things, there are such kind of islands, the raised portions in the roads, that are purposefully made in order to uh, form channels through which the traffic will be guided, and that is what are the traffic islands. So this one, the circular portion that you see, is the traffic island. This one you see is the traffic island, the triangular portions. Okay, there may be medians, the raised curves like this, there may be medians like this on each of the roads. Okay, the dividers we call, these are also kind of traffic islands. So let us write down the definition of traffic islands. These are the raised constructions within roadway to form channels through which traffic can be guided, through which traffic may be guided. Okay, so there are various types of uh, traffic islands. Just I discuss the median, is the triangular portion, the circular portion. So please write down the types. First type is the median island, the divisional island. So the name suggests what is the divisional island, that is, it is the divider, simply it is a divider. The second type of island is channelizing island, channelizing island. And the third one is pedestrian loading islands, pedestrian loading islands. Okay, and the fourth one is the rotary islands. So as the name suggests, the divisional islands, it is the median. It is clear, I should not explain. Channelizing islands, these the triangular portions are called the channelizing islands. Please make an arrow over here like this. Okay. The pedestrian loading islands are the ones that are usually provided at the bus stops for the pedestrians to get down and get in the vehicle, the bus. Okay. The rotary islands, these are the rotary islands. The central portion is the rotary island. You may show by an arrow like this. Okay. So these were the types of the rotary islands, the traffic islands. Please write down that at rotary intersections, the design speeds are reduced. Okay. At rotary intersections, the rotary speeds are reduced, the design speeds are reduced. Okay, and how much, to what amount speed speeds are reduced? 40 kmph, 40 kilometer per hour in the rural regions, and for urban areas it is around 30 kilometers per hour. Okay, 30 kilometers per hour. So there are various types of rotaries. Please write down the possible types: circular, elliptical, tangential, and turbine, and etc. Out of which turbine is the most efficient. Turbine is the most efficient one. Okay. So now let us now discuss the radius of rotary. Okay. How to design the rotary. How to design the radius of the rotary. Okay. We just discuss the types, and we will discuss how to design the radius of the rotary. So we have the general formula, that is E plus F equal to V square upon GR. But guys, you know that at rotary you cannot give any super elevation. Okay, you cannot give any super elevation. And so coefficient of lateral friction is the only the resisting force, and that has got value equal to 0.015. That is the reason R will be given by V square by GF. Okay, the radius of rotary will be given by V square upon GF, and over the rotary super elevation is not possible, so the radius is calculated based on this F value only. Okay, and in this case the longitudinal friction is also increased by chiseling. Please write down also longitudinal friction is increased by chiseling. You know what is chiseling? Chiseling. Okay, and that is the F value is increased to somewhere 0.43 to 0.47, and earlier it used to be 0.4035 to 0.40, and it is done because of to ensure the emergency reduction in speed. Okay, emergency reduction in speed, so that the vehicles can reduce the speed on these particular regions. Okay, let us now discuss the, okay, we just covered the radius of rotary. Let us now discuss few traffic flow characteristics. Okay, traffic flow characteristics. So the basic traffic flow characteristics are, the first one is diverging. Diverging stands for this is the road, and diverging is this is diverging. Okay, second one is merging. Merging, so this is the way the vehicles merge into the road. Okay, the third one is crossing. Okay, crossing, and suppose this is the road, then you cross it in this way. And the fourth one is weaving. Weaving, which stands for if there is a road like this, come from this side, merge in, and then diverge out. Okay, this is exactly what weaving is. So weaving consists of merging plus diverging. Okay guys, so this angle theta is the weaving angle. Okay, and usually the merging one and the diverging one have got the same value. In simple terms, crossing crossing is weaving at 90 degrees. Okay, weaving at 90 degrees. Okay guys, so if you just have a look of this, in this case you see that this length, this one is the weaving length. Okay, and this is the weaving zone. This one is the weaving zone, and this length is called as the weaving length. So at this point, the weaving zone, please write down what happens is that why it is called the weaving zone, because okay, weaving zone, please write down, very important it is. At weaving zone, at weaving zone, the vehicles merge, or the vehicle merges into the traffic, into the traffic and diverges out. It usually occurs at the channelizing islands. It usually occurs at channelizing islands. Okay, so you should know which one is the weaving zone. So this portion, this one, this one that I have shown, this is the weaving zone where the vehicle merge into the existing traffic and then diverges. Okay, vehicle is suppose coming from any side, you see the vehicle has to merge into the existing traffic and then to diverge this way or this way or whichever the way it is going to go. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you what is the weaving zone and weaving length. So weaving length is the length over which the weaving operation takes place. Okay, the length over which the weaving operation takes place. Please write down that weaving length is the length over which weaving operation takes place. It is the most simple definition. Okay. Now let us discuss the width of carriageway at entry and exit. Okay, width of carriageway at entry and exit. Okay, entry and exit. So guys, understand that suppose I am drawing a typical. Okay, so this is the rotary island. Okay, here. Okay, this four. So the traffic is suppose coming from this way and leaving this side. So in this case, this is the width of carriageway at entry. Okay, that is E1 I say, and this is the width of carriageway at exit, that is E2. Suppose the movement that we are considering is like this. Okay, so at this point it is E1, the width of carriageway at entry, and this one is the width of carriageway at exit. So it should be noted that in general, entry and exit widths are same. In general, please write down, in general, entry and exit widths are same. Okay, and it is usually better to provide, and it is usually better to provide the smaller entry width, the smaller entry width and larger exit width to avoid the traffic jams. Okay, please write down, to avoid traffic jams. And I guess this question was asked in GATE 2017 as 1 mark question. Okay, so let us now discuss the width of the rotary roadway. Okay, please write down, width of rotary roadway. Width of rotary roadway, and it is very important because that is to be used in some formula. And you know, this portion, this portion, this one, okay, this portion is capital W, this one also, here also capital W. These are the widths of the rotary roadways, and it will be the value of capital W, width of rotary roadway, will be given in the question, or if not given, then consider capital W equal to E1 plus E2 by 2. Okay, E1 plus E2 by 2 plus 3.5, and that should be in meters. Okay, so this is what we have to use, and now we will discuss the practical capacity of rotary roadway. Practical capacity of rotary roadway. Okay, and it is given as, so it is given by formula Qmax equal to 280 W plus E by W 1 minus P by 3 upon 1 plus W by L, where E equal to E1 plus E2 by 2, E equal to E1 plus E2 by 2. You already know what is E1 and E2, the entry and exit widths. W is width of rotary road, W is width of rotary road. L is the weaving length, L is the weaving length. Okay, and P P is proportion of weaving traffic. Proportion of weaving traffic. Okay, which is given as weaving traffic upon the total traffic. We will take an example to understand this. Okay guys, a roundabout is provided with an average entry width of 8.4 meters. So E equal to average entry width is 8.4 meters. Okay, it is directly given as the average entry width. The width of weaving section as 14 meters. So capital V is 14 meters, and length of weaving section between the channelizing islands as 35 meters. L equal to 35 meters. The crossing traffic and the total traffic on the weaving sections are I'll write here the crossing traffic equal to 1000 PCU per hour, and weaving traffic on weaving section is, that is the total traffic, the total traffic, not weaving traffic, the total traffic is equal to 2000 PCU per hour. Okay, and the nearest roundabout capacity of the roundabout in PCU per hour is, so they are asking Q max equal to what. So the data given is that suppose this is the roundabout and these are the 4 roads that it is connecting. So you know this one is the W, that is equal to 14 meter, that has been given. Okay, they are stating that length of the weaving section. So here if it is like this, so this length, okay, this is called as the length of the weaving section. This E is the average of these two. Okay, here there will be E1, say the traffic is it is in this direction, it will be E1 over here and E2 over here. So you take the average, E equal to E1 plus E2 by 2, and directly the average is given. Finally, what we are supposed to have in formula is Q max equal to, we have Q max or QP equal to formula 280 W 1 plus E by W 1 minus P by 3 upon 1 plus W by L. The proportion of weaving traffic we are not aware of, and from here we can find out the proportion of weaving traffic, P equal to weaving traffic upon the total traffic. So the weaving traffic is 1000 over here and the total traffic is 2000, hence it is equal to 0.5. Okay, just put all the values in this formula to get 280 into W is 14 into 1 plus E is 8.4, W is again 14, P is 0.5 by 3, and upon 1 plus W by L. Okay, 1 plus W by L, W is 14 and L is the 35. Okay, so the answer that we get is 3733.33 vehicles per hour. Vehicles per hour, or you may say the PCU per hour. Okay, the PCU, it is already given. Since it is in the PCU, 1000 and 2000 are in PCU per hour, then we get answer in PCU per hour. Okay, so let us now discuss the next question. It is a very straightforward question, and determine capacity of rotary roadway for the following data. Width of the weaving section W is given, length of the weaving section L is given, proportion of the weaving traffic P is directly given, average width of rotary E is given. So what are we left is that we need to calculate QP. And guys, when I was a student, I thought that it is really a big formula, and how to remember this formula, how to keep in mind, etc., etc. I had many doubts in my mind, and I said that I cannot remember such formulae, and many things I thought that whatever all the students like you keep on thinking. But frankly speaking guys, This is a very important formula and the questions will be asked on this. GATE asks direct questions on such big formulae. Okay, if the formulae are going to be small, then they'll put some trick. But if the formula itself is a long one, then GATE will give such kind of data. Okay, direct data, direct question. You need to just remember the formula, substitute the values and find out the right value. Okay, so for example, here 280 into W is 6 into 1 plus e value over here is 5.5. W upon W is 6, 1 minus P is 0.5 by 3, and 1 plus W is 6, and L value is 20. Okay, so what answer you get is 2064 vehicles per hour. Was a direct question based on the capacity of the roundabout. Okay, so in this way we are done with the rotary islands, the traffic islands, how to find out the capacity, how to find out the radius, and there are few important terminologies related to it. Okay, you should keep all these terms in your mind. Okay guys, so friends, we will now move on to quickly discuss the next concept, that is the road intersection. First of all, what is road intersection? So it is known to you all that when two or more roads intersect each other, it is called road intersection. I did not give it to you in writing, but it is very much clear. I repeat that when two or more roads meet each other, it is called as road intersection. Okay. So there are two types of road intersections. Either it is at grade intersection, and the second type is the grade separated intersection. At grade intersection stands for roads that cross each other at same elevation. Okay, at grade stands for intersection at same elevation. You may please write it down properly, that the intersections in which roads cross at same elevation are called at grade. And please write it down, because later on while going through the notes you should be able to see that. Okay, I'll write it myself. Uh, the intersections on which the roads intersect at same level. Okay, I'm writing it for you because when you open your notes later on, you should not get confused. Okay, now you are understanding that is a different case. And grade separated means the intersections at which the roads crossing do not meet each other at same level. The intersections at which the roads crossing do not meet each other at same level. Okay, so these are the two types of uh, road intersections, and the very simple example for the uh, grade separated road intersection is flyovers. Okay, so the flyovers, what it does, what grade separated intersection does, it reduces the number of conflict points, then reduces the number of conflict points. Okay, and now we will discuss what are conflict points. Okay guys, so conflict point is a point at which a highway user crossing, merging or diverging from the road. Okay, like if the user is crossing, merging or diverging, uh, conflicts with another highway user, okay, using the same road. If you read it again, a conflict point is the point at which a highway user, the user that is crossing, merging or diverging, all three operations from road, conflicts with another highway user using the same road. Okay, so what does this mean? this is, so this diagram, okay, this diagram, it is an intersection that has that is two-way and two-lane roads, okay. Two-way, two-lane roads are merging at right angles, okay, are intersecting at right angles. So you see that in this case, uh, the red dots, like, it represents the conflict points for through traffic, okay. So you see, this is the through condition. So the red ones, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are the conflict points in this way, okay, if it is crossing directly like this, okay. So the red ones, if you see this, the conflict points while taking the right turn, this one, this color, so you see that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the conflict points. So this is the right turn, okay, this is the right turn from each of the roads, okay. So in similar way, uh, they have shown the conflict points for various cases, like it is right turn, diverging, merging, and the conflict points for the pedestrians. This way, if it is like this way, the conflict points are noted, okay. And usually the conflict points for pedestrians are taken separately, but here they have also added uh, 8 pedestrian conflict points. So that is the, in total there are 32 conflict points, okay. So what I'll suggest you, that you can try the similar case when the both the roads are two-way, okay. When both the roads are two-way, that is this case itself, and when both the roads are, when both the roads are one way, okay. So please write down, when both roads are two way, okay, this is the case. Secondly, when both roads are, okay, I'll say that one road is one way, okay. Next case that I'll suggest you to try out is one road is one way, okay. One road is one way, okay. And third case you should try out, that both the roads are one way, both the roads are one way, okay. And for these cases, what you will get is that number of conflict points in this case is 24, if you do not include this pedestrian traffic, pedestrian uh, conflict points. For one way road, one road is one way, in this case you will get 11 conflict points, and if both the roads are one way, then you will get 6 conflict points, okay. And if you're not getting this, please Google it out, you will get it on NPTEL. And even if you don't get how it comes, then these uh, three values, 6, 11, and 24, are important, and you should remember that for the from GATE examination point of view. A direct 1 mark question can be asked based on this. So now we will go back to discuss the grade separated intersections. These are provided to separate the traffic in vertical grade. So you very well understand now that the grade separated intersections stand for separating the traffic at different grades, okay, at different elevations. So the very common example is that the railway line, okay. When there is a railway line, then the road is elevated usually, okay. So that is what the grade separator it is. So there are two types, overpass and underpass. So the cases in which the road having major traffic is made to uh, go at an elevated level, then that is called as overpass, okay. And if the road having major traffic uh, is passed through lower level, then it is called underpass. So I hope you all must have seen what are the overpasses and the underpasses and the grade separators when you travel, okay. So there are three common types of interchange changes, that is the trumpet interchange, diamond interchange, and cloverleaf interchange, okay. These names, especially this name, the cloverleaf interchange, that comes from the shape, okay. If you just look at the top view of this kind of interchange, then this is what it looks like, okay. This figure, it is the cloverleaf interchange, in which uh, you see that suppose this is the traffic, and if you want to join this road, okay, so you can directly uh, get out of it like this, okay, diverge on the left hand side and merge into this road, okay. So there is no problem at all. If you want to merge this road here, then you have to just go this way, take this path, come down like this and join this, okay. Similarly is the case in all the for all the four roadways. So this in this case of interchange, uh, you see there is reduction of number of conflict points, okay, and it is provided when these both the roads, suppose it is north, south, east and west, then both north south is a very busy road, and also east west is also a busy road, okay. That time cloverleaf interchange is preferred. Also you should note that when suppose my vehicle is coming this way and it wants to merge into this traffic, okay, that time I'll have to take this complete round, so there will be some centrifugal forces generated. That is the reason I'll have to slow down the speed, and since my speed is slowed down, it is easier to merge into this traffic, okay. So I hope that you understand how uh, this particular interchange works, okay, how is it easier to merge into it, okay. So I'll not discuss this trumpet interchange and the diamond interchange. It comes from the again most probably the shape of the interchange that you will get on NPTEL. But since we need to focus more on the numerical type of questions, uh, I'll say I'll ask you to find it yourself. Okay, so we will move ahead. Okay, so parking. There are two types of parkings. One is the on-street parking, and the other one is off-street parking. Okay, so in case of on-street parking, there are two types. The name itself suggests what on-street on-street parking is. So if there is carriageway like this, then you can park vehicles like this. Okay, so that is the angled parking. Okay, that is the there can be some angle theta, and that is the angle of parking, okay. And or the other way is you can park it in this way, okay. So there is right angle parking, right angle parking, okay. uh, right angle, sorry, parking. So next one is the off street parking. Off street parking, that means suppose there is a road like this, then you go to some side and vehicles are parked over here like this. Vehicles are parked over here, that is the off street parking, okay. So and maybe that there is some barrier here like this, okay, just to take care of the vehicles. So we will now discuss the traffic controlling devices, okay. The traffic controlling devices, so uh, they are the road markings, they can be the object markings, the traffic signs, and the warning or the caution signs, okay. So as far as road markings are concerned, there are two types that you can see, that there are some solid lines, okay, that are undashed, okay, undashed, and also there are some broken or the dashed lines, okay, dashed lines. So whenever there is a solid line, it means crossing is strictly not allowed. Please write down that crossing is strictly not allowed. And whenever it is broken or the dashed line, that time it is crossing allowed with care. Crossing allowed with care. Okay. So please understand that these are the road markings. So the object markings are something that marking of roadside objects, okay, uh, with some glow or the highlighters. So I should not discuss, but just make a small note that marking of roadside objects with glow or highlighter. Okay, so that is the thing. And the traffic signs, yes, it is really very important, and there have been questions asked on the traffic signs. Okay, so there are three types of traffic signs. The first one is the mandatory, that is compulsory, or the regulatory. I'll just erase these things. Okay, so traffic signs I am discussing. First type is mandatory, that is regulatory, or the compulsory. Regulatory or compulsory. Compulsory. Second one is there are warning or the caution signs. Okay, warning or the caution signs. Okay, caution signs. And third one is the informatory signs. Informatory signs. Okay, so informatory signs are usually rectangular in shape. Okay, rectangular in shape. Okay, so for example, there are boards. You can see that Delhi is on 100 kilometers, Agra so and so kilometers. So that is what the information it conveys, and hence the name, the informatory signs, and they are rectangular in shape. Okay, usually rectangular in shape. The color of the board is green. Okay, and the text that is written is in white. Okay, and the border is also in white. Okay, as far as informatory signs are concerned. Okay, so the warning signs, these are usually triangular in shapes, triangular in shape, and you might have seen this board many times like this. So like this. Okay, and there is some figure written over here, sorry, some arrow or something that is drawn like this. Okay, so this one, and there is, oh yes, sorry, so here it is red in color. Okay, here it is white, and the arrow is black in color. So this is the warning traffic sign, and that is for warning that there is going to be a right turn, uh, and it is it gives you warning well in advance. Okay, so the next type is the mandatory, that is the regulatory or the compulsory warning sign, and you ought to follow the regulations or the information that has been conveyed by the mandatory traffic sign. Okay, and one must follow these traffic signs. Okay, one must follow these traffic signs. And very simple example for this is the, like, there is marking like this, and the speed is limited. We have discussed why the speed is limited, and if there will be a sign like this that the maximum allowed speed is 70 kilometers per hour, then you have to follow this speed. In the on the expressways the maximum allowed speed is 80 kilometer per hour, then you ought to follow that speed. Okay, and uh, you know you will be fined if you are caught, uh, if you are caught with the increased speed, that is the more than the limit, so more than 80 kilometer per hour, then you are liable to be fined. Okay, so also there will be sign like this. Okay, so this is the sign that is for speed limit. The next sign is, do not overtake, like this. uh, so there will be another arrow like this will be a smaller arrow, and this will be a bigger arrow, and it will be crossed like this. So overtaking is not allowed. That is also a mandatory sign. Okay, uh, there is another mandatory sign, that is stop sign. So it is like this: 1 2 3 4 5 6 8. Okay, So there are 8 edges to it, and again it will repeat like this. There is border like this. Okay, this is a mandatory sign that stop. You need to stop. Okay, you need to stop. And the next sign, mandatory sign, is the give way sign. It is like this. Give way sign is of this kind. Inverted triangle. So this is red in color, and here it is white in color. Okay, so these are the mandatory signs that we have discussed: no overtaking, the speed limit, the stop sign, and the give way signs. Give way. Okay, give way. And the shapes that have, usually they are the exceptions. Okay, these exceptions, this shape, this kind of shape, it is most likely to be asked in the GATE examination. Wherever there is an exception, GATE will follow it. Okay, GATE will go after it. So we will now move on to discuss a very important topic, and based on which there have been previous many GATE years that the questions have been asked on this topic, that is the traffic signal, which is very important from GATE point of view. Okay, so the traffic signals, you all must have seen signals. So I would like to ask you a question, that is, what are the signal colors in India? Okay, signal colors in India. What are signal colors in India? Then I'm sure that you will say, sir, one is red one, and the other color is green one. And the third color that I want you people to tell me, and that is the amber color. Okay, amber color. So this color, the amber color, stands for get ready to stop. Get ready to stop. Okay, as soon as there will be, if you are just traveling on the road, you are driving on the road, then you will see that there will be amber color that will come for hardly for a second or something, 1 or 2 seconds maybe, as per its design. And then there will be immediately next color, that is the red one. After amber it always comes red. uh, Better if I write it amber as the first one, second one is the red one. Red means you need to stop the vehicle at a point. Okay, you need to stop the vehicle. And third one is the green one. Okay, so this is the sequence: amber, red, green, amber, red, green. Green means you can go. Okay, green means you can go. So the sequence is amber, red, and the green one. So amber, red, green, again amber, red, green. So this is the sequence. And the cycle time, okay, cycle time is given as, this cycle time is given as time for red signal, green signal, and the amber signal. And to design the cycle time, we use, to design, please write down, you write down it properly. Okay, I'll write down. To design cycle time, to design cycle time, we use Webster's method. Webster's method. Okay, what we use is the Webster's method as per IRC. As per IRC. Okay, so the Webster's formula is given as, please write down, very important it is, Webster's formula. There have been many questions based on this. Webster's formula. Cycle time is given as, cycle time is given as C naught equal to 1.5 L plus 5 minus upon 1 minus y. Okay, 1.5 L plus 5 upon 1 minus 5, and it is an empirical formula. Okay, it is an empirical formula. Okay guys, it is an empirical formula, and almost all British colonies follow this formula, the Webster's formula. Okay, and in this formula, where L is average lost time, okay, per cycle. Okay, per cycle it is, where which is given as 2n plus r, where n is number of phases, and r is all read time, and y, this y, okay, this y is given as y1 plus y2 plus y3 plus. So we will understand what is this y equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3. Before that, we will understand all these, each of the terms into details, okay, each of the terms in details. So n stands for number of phases, so we will first discuss what are the number of phases, okay. So it is the number of independent direction of movement, number of independent direction of movement allowed at a junction, okay, and it is called phases. For example, I'll show you what is two-phase signal, okay. If it is a two-phase signal, then what it is, then suppose if there is intersection like this, okay, if there is intersection like this, two-phase signal stands for this way the traffic will be allowed to move, but this traffic is not allowed, okay. You stop this traffic, this one and this one, and you allow this. This is a two-phase signal, okay. So this is phase 1, and in next phase what you do, again the same junction, okay. Now you stop this traffic and allow this traffic, okay. So this traffic is allowed to move, okay. So this is phase 1 and phase 2, and that is what is two-phase signal. So if you see the four-phase, okay, four-phase signal, so in this case the phase 1 is something where you stop the traffic on three sides, okay. You stop the traffic on these three sides, 1, 2 and 3 sides, and you allow traffic to move like this and to turn right, okay, and turning left is not a problem at any of the times. So this is phase 1, okay. So similarly there will be a case in which it was done for this road. Now you do the same case for this road. For example, I will show you like this, okay. So you will stop this traffic, you will stop this traffic, and you will stop this traffic. This traffic will be allowed to move like this, and this traffic will be allowed to move like this. So that is the second phase of the signal. Similarly, repeat the same thing for this road and as well as this side also. So in this way there will be third phase also and the fourth phase also. So it is the four-phase signal. So in case of two-phase signal, the problem was that you were not allowing the right turn, you were not allowing vehicles to take right turn. So that was the problem. And so you see what the four-phase signal is now and what is the two-phase signal. So number of phases depends on the traffic movement that you allow on the road, okay. So one way it is the traffic movement that is allowed, and the other point is that more number of phases, there will be more waiting period and there will be more time lost, okay. So please write down more phases, more the phases, more waiting period, and more is the time lost, more, or you write it like this, okay, more time lost. So it is, you have to balance these two things, okay, the time lost and the movement of the traffic, okay. So we will now discuss the all red time, all red time, okay. So for few seconds during change from one phase to other, all the signals show red color, red for some time. Please write down for few seconds, during change from one phase to the other, okay, one phase to the other, all the signals show red for some time. All the signals show red for some time, and that is what the all red time is. You know, when there is change from one phase to another phase, all the signals will be red, and for some time, traffic movement traffic movement from all the four sides will be stopped. Okay, so all the vehicles will be stopped over here, okay, for some time. And between these two phases there will be red signal appearing in all direction, and this is to clear the road from the last minute entered vehicles. Okay, so what happens, suppose if this there was traffic movement, okay, like this from here to here and here to here. Now what you are going to do is you are going to put red signal for this traffic. Okay, you are going to put red for this. Okay, and if you put red here, immediately they are not going to stop. Okay, there will be some traffic that will have seen the red at the last moment and will be still continuing to cross this, to travel like this. Okay, so in order to let these vehicles, okay, suppose there was vehicle here, you put a red over here and there was a vehicle over here and it doesn't know that the red has been put. So you want this vehicle to clear the road for the other vehicles. Okay, you want this vehicle to go. Okay, so that is what for additional time is provided, where all the signals will be red, and that is the all red time. This all red time is decided based on the practical condition and the type of traffic at the junction. Okay, based on the practical condition and type of traffic at a junction. Okay, so it is a very small duration, and I would like uh, you all to take some notes. Okay, first of all, write that it is very small duration, very small duration. Draw a diagram like this where the all the vehicles have stopped. Okay, vehicles from all the sides have stopped. Okay, and between the two phases there will be red signal appearing in all directions. Please write down, between two signals, sorry, two phases there will be red signal, red signal appearing in all directions, in all directions. Okay, so this is to clear the road, this is to clear the road, clear the road. I hope you have written this. This is to clear the road from last minute entered vehicle. Clear the road from last minute entered vehicle. Okay, entered vehicles. All red time is decided based on practical conditions. All red time is decided based on, first one is the practical conditions, the practical conditions, and second one is type of traffic at a junction. Okay, second one is type of traffic at a junction. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you what all red time is. So next thing that we discussed was y equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3 plus plus plus. So where y1 is q1 by s1, y2 is q2 by s2, y3 is q3 by s3 plus dash dash dash, where S1 is equal to S1 or S2, S3 is equal to saturated traffic flow. Saturated traffic flow, and I hope that I'm sure that you all of you know it very well what is saturated traffic flow. Saturated traffic flow, that is the traffic volume at a junction. It is saturated traffic flow is a traffic volume at a junction in PCU per hour, PCU per hour. Okay, and you can obtain this value. Okay, you can obtain this value uh, at a traffic junction by allowing vehicles with continuous green time. Okay, so you don't apply any red signal, you don't stop any vehicle, and you allow all the vehicles to pass, then you will get this saturated traffic time. So you please write down that it is the traffic volume on road without signals. It is traffic volume on roads. It is traffic volume on roads without signals. Okay, or without any stopping. Okay, so it can be obtained by it can be obtained by allowing vehicles with continuous green, allowing vehicles with continuous green. Okay, continuous green signal, continuous green signal. Okay, so this is what is this S1, S2 and S3 mean. Okay, so if you want to obtain suppose S1, sorry, if you want to obtain S1, what you need to do is you just allow it this way. Okay, if you want to obtain S1, then allow traffic here and here. Just my diagram is not okay. You will get S1. Okay, and the other side allow it like this, then what you will get is S2. Okay, so this is the way you obtain S1 and S2. So now we will move on to discuss Q1, Q2 and Q3. The normal traffic flow, please write down Q1, Q2, that is the normal traffic flow, the normal traffic flow or normal traffic volume with normal traffic volume with alternative red and green appearing on the road, with alternate red and green appearing on road, green appearing. Okay, so you understand the difference. You put signals over here, and in the previous case for saturated traffic flow, you did not have any signals. So the y value, okay, y is given as like y1 is given as q1 upon s1, y2 is given as q2 upon s2, and y as a whole is given as y1 plus y2. So I am discussing this particular case. So in the formula, the Webster's formula, you have to use this. The formula was uh, Webster's formula. Yes, this was the Webster's formula. So you now know what is L. L is twice n plus r, where n is number of phases. You will have to say like 1 phase, 2 phase, 3 phase, 4 phase signal. R is the all red time. So you have to calculate this L. Calculate this L using this equation. Put it over here, and Y we just discussed from Y1, Y2, Y3, and usually the values will be given with some slight trick since it is a GATE examination, but it will be a very straightforward question. Okay, so now what you have obtained from the Webster's formula is cycle time. Okay, what you have obtained is the cycle time, but from this cycle time you need to find out what are the green times, okay, because green is going to be for longer duration. Green, you should find out what is the green time. So how to find out the green time, that I'll discuss over here, okay. So how many green times we need, that depends on number of phases. And please write down that number of green time values is equal to number of phases, number of phases, okay. You should know it very well. And I'll write down here I am writing down the formula for green time. And please make good note for this, that oh, I cannot bring it back, but please write down that number of green time values equal to number of phases. And green time gi, okay. So suppose g1 it is, then it is given as y1 upon y in bracket cycle time minus L, that is green time for phase 1, green time for phase 1, okay. Similarly, g2 equal to y2 upon y upon c0 minus L, that is green time for phase 2. And similarly, you will find out green times for the number of phases, or as much like the required number of the green times, okay. So you should take a check, okay. So it might be clear to you all that you should take a check that uh, c1 plus c2 plus g1 plus g2 plus gn is equal to c0 minus L, okay. c0 minus L. Since this L is a lost time that cannot be retrieved, and we have to finally subtract this time from this, okay. So in the next lecture, we will be taking up numericals based on this, and we will stop here. See you in the next lecture, guys. Thank you so much.